there was 2 years ago when Tiff was coming up with this QE magic potion. He said to him, he goes, "Well, I understand that you're doing this, but can this not cause a liquidity problem with the banks? Like, can this not absolutely bankrupt the Bank of Canada?" I'm paraphrasing the words, and Tiff sort of sidestepped it and said, "Of course not. Where are we today? The Bank of Canada is bankrupted. They lost $522 million last quarter, and will lose the same or more this quarter, and lose the same or more next quarter, and that will go on for a while now." And no other company can ever do that, but because it's the Bank of Canada, it just goes on taxpayers' dime. And don't forget that prior to that, Bank of Canada was making $1 billion or $2 billion, or even getting close to $3 billion a year, giving it to the government to help with fiscal policies. But now they're not giving anything to the government, so that's a loss for Canadians. And then they're running a $522 billion debt every quarter. So, and that money has to be paid somehow. So it's inevitable it comes out of Canadians' pockets any way you slice it, no matter what they do. If they write it off, it's still written off to Canadian taxpayers. If they decide to keep it on their books and pay it off in more prosperous times, it's still written to taxpayers, because the government's never going to be getting the profits until they paid off these losses, no matter what taxpayers are paying for. So that was one. There was another, and there was another one where, and that was with Polyev. Then there was one with Andrew Scheer, where he sort of approached him also, saying, it's interesting that you're doing this. How is it happening? And one of the questions he asked him, he says, "Hey, how, if you're issuing the bond for the Bank of Canada, for the federal government, you're selling it to the banks, and then you're buying it from the bank. So you're buying it at a profit, right?" "Oh, yes, it's a small profit. It's a little more complicated than that, and it's a bidding system." "Okay, cool. No, I understand. You understand every single part of it, and you're trying to explain that. And my question is how much did that cost?" So, because the Bank of Canada is creating a bond, selling it to the banks, and immediately buying it back at a profit for the bank. So there's a cost to taxpayers right there, just in doing this little triangular QE magic potion thing. And does the Bank of Canada have the money to pay for it? No. What they do is they give the bank a settlement balance. So in essence, they give them an account where they put digits into that account, electronic digits, and now the bank can go out and use that as money. So they are printing money. They're just doing it in a
Digital.
new, creative way, and they call it QE, not printing money. And so this way, the banks don't have to go out and buy or lease big warehouses to store this money in. It's just on their balance sheets, and so, or on their financial docs. So the thing is that the Canadians were losing money in that exchange, and then now that the interest rates have gone up, Canadians are losing money again, because we have to pay for the difference between what Tiff Macklin gave them as a deal on those bonds, to now what the interest rate is that it has to pay the difference. So the fact that he went and sort of bankrupted the Bank of Canada is not an accident. It would be the equivalent of you going to the casino because you saw, I don't know, you believe that the color red is going to take over the world. QE is going to take over the world, and you come up with this great potion. So you go take your whole mortgage equity out, sell your cars, all your clothes, everything, and go to the casino and put all your money on red. And then you lose because it landed black. Well, nobody knew it was going to land on black. Nobody knew that, so how can it not be your fault? But actually, yeah, we didn't know it was going to land on black, but you ought to have known that there was an opportunity for it to land on black. And that's why none of us go out and do that, because we realize that the chance of winning is just as great as the chance of losing. And so when Tiff Macklem went out and decided to gamble with Canadians' money, he went and he said, hey, federal government, we'll support you in all the debt that you want to create, which immediately means that there's going to be a payday for that, when the payday is now, where inflation rises. So he knows that because he's an economist. The rest of us only kind of know it. We heard it in school in Economy 101, but Economics 101, but we don't really kind of know it. But he should know it. And so he goes and he gives them an unlimited spending power because the government is doing some crazy things during COVID. And he believes that he should support that. That is a problem, because that is where monetary policy marries fiscal policy. Monetary policy being what the Bank of Canada does, and it's supposed to be separate. And fiscal policy is what the government does with their spending. And those two are supposed to be separate. But he merged them and married them and gave the federal government unlimited spending power. And that's where the real issue is. And now that whole thing came home to roost, there was one more thing that I'd like to add to that.
I have something to add to question.
I'll just add this one thing. I remember Andrew
Sorry,
Scheer.
are you having problems with your
Andrew
earpiece?
Scheer said that. You just no, it wasn't Andrew Scheer. It was it was in another interview where Tiff Macklem said to the person that no, he's not concerned, because the person asked, hey, I think he was just interviewed by I can't remember who it was, but anyways, they asked, well, aren't you afraid that all this spending is going to cause inflation? This great economist, Tiff Macklem, his answer was no. Our greatest concern is deflation. Now, at that time, inflation was hovering around 0.5% and 1%. So he had the liberty to say that. But did he not, or ought he not have known that if you spend a lot, that actually deflation doesn't happen? It's inflation that does. And this is, in essence, the problem. That's why he shouldn't be in that position, because he could only see that spinning ball could land on red. He didn't see the green square, and he didn't see any of the black squares. And the ball landed black, and now we're all in this situation. And that's why he shouldn't be in this position, because he ought to have known that this could happen and actually will happen. And anybody, and this is why the opposition was saying, don't do this. You're going to get caught with your pants down. And they're interviewing him, they're saying that, and he's like just writing it off, like, well, no, that can't happen. And here it is. So he should have known.
If he got caught with his pants down, I think he just stood in the middle of the street and dropped them. I mean, he didn't really.
You know what?
I think that's probably a bad thing I said.
Yeah, that is a bad thing. It's very insensitive. But I agree with you, because it wasn't like he got caught with his pants down. He dropped them, because remember, it is him who's raising the interest rates. Right?
But this gentleman that I was talking to the other night when we were out on a showing said, he's not the real problem. Let's dig underneath. And he's saying the real problem is Canadians going out there and spending money that they don't have.
That guy is that is the argument. That's the argument which wins the day. So now they can do this wealth transformation where they transfer much of Canadians' wealth to bank institutions is with this argument. Okay, it's actually almost frustrating, but at the same time, it's true. The truth is that Canadians went out and
Weren't scared.
spent
Weren't
money.
scared to spend,
But
yeah.
here, that also makes 100% sense. And the person who said that, they're right. However, we're talking about a great mind. Tiff Macklin, the head, he's a professor at the university in risk management, University of Toronto, and all this stuff. Like, this guy's supposed to be brilliant. Go on the Bank of Canada's website and they will tell you clear, you know what, maybe this is what I'll put together for our show. I'll grab the actual proof rather than just talking about it, because why believe me? I'm just a realtor. And it's true, I'm not smart enough for this stuff. It's the research that I did that led me to these conclusions. On their website, it clearly states that Canadians were saving all kinds of money through the recession, through the
Pandemic.
what should have been a recession, through the pandemic. The reason it should have been a recession is because you weren't allowed to work and you weren't allowed to go out and spend. Stores were all
Which is
closed.
usually a recession.
So that's a recession. That's actually a depression. And through that time, Canadians weren't allowed to spend their money, so they were building up a big nest egg. And then, boom,
It's
the
like
whole
that song, build it up and
build it. So, and then all of a sudden
Solid.
you're allowed out, stores are back open.
you go on a
And
frenzy.
so then you go out, and even if it's not a frenzy, you just go back to normal where you can go to restaurants, you can go to this without having a passport of some sort or whatever. And then, yeah, Canadians are spending. Well, what genius doesn't know that that's going to happen? Like, honestly, and then you turn around and blame them. You turn around and blame the Canadians for going out and living their lives back again. And this is why we got to bankrupt a whole bunch of people, because you Canadians are the underlying problem. Well, you didn't know that when you allow people, you put them in jail and then you then let them out of jail, and then you're surprised that they're going to the parks and they're going to the restaurants and they didn't walk back into their jail cell and say, no, I just want to stay here. It's absolutely insane. They got really good arguments for the stuff they're doing. Thank you for watching our video. We hope you enjoyed it. And please let us know your thoughts in the comments, as well as any questions you may have. We're live most Saturdays at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, so make sure to tune in. If you're interested in learning more about real estate, click the link in the description to sign up, and we'll send you a series of educational videos all about real estate. Thank you again for watching, and remember to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and click the bell icon so you can stay up to date on all our future uploads.